Now, that is super encouraging. Seattle has depth that we felt better about than the inside backup position at safety. However, 6th round pick Jerrick Reed and undrafted free agent Jonathan Sutherland, they both impressed, Griff. Like, these are kind of on the fringe of the roster safeties, given Seattle has Julian Love, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams to return, Kobe Bryant having a great game as a safety too. That's 4 guys. How many safeties are you going to carry? Well, Sutherland, Griff, and
Joey Blunt
and Jerrick Reed look real solid players.
Agreed. I really like Sutherland's game is really admirable. He did some impressive stuff. He also had some poor plays, but I think it's just like he needs to be viewed, in my opinion, as a practice squad player that you invest in, and eventually he breaks out, just like Joey Blunt did. And I mean, breaking out is maybe a little rich to say, but in the coach's eyes in practice, he worked his way up. And Pete never stops talking about Joey Blunt anytime he can, anytime he gets brought up. So I feel like this is it with Sutherland, but him being primarily a nickel, there are just too many bodies at nickel. He's not going to play there. So I don't think they feel the need to roster him. He feels
the way I see it is he's like a Jamal Adams type of mirror in that kind of big nickel mold. Like the way that they used the nickel in this game, like closer to the line of scrimmage, that's against running teams or under center teams. Like say they're under center 11, you want to play nickel. That's where Jamal Adams will make his money. But like, I don't think there's a room for Sutherland. Maybe on the practice squad.
And I think he would want to stay. Like because when
he knows the system, he needs another year. He could get called up.
Yeah. Jerrick Reed, on the other hand, I think we both agree. I mean, he looks like legit. He can play in the shell. He can play on the underneath. He's a really efficient mover. He's bursty. He has really good density for tackling. Long speed, short speed. Like, he's a player.
Absolute player. All of the techniques that Seattle want their deep safeties to do, and he's kind of like a Quandre Diggs mirror. In his technique looks like Quandre Diggs' techniques. His which is high praise, but his skill set is more kind of like a Julian Love mirror, I'd say. But don't forget, Diggs started him as a nickel corner as well.
Yeah, and I mean,
and an outside corner at Texas, but yeah.
Yep.
But this play here from Reed is super impressive. Any coverage technique they wanted him to do from deep, he was very proficient at.
And so they're in quarter, half here, right? Quarters to the boundary.
Yep.
Because it's 12 personnel, so I don't know how they're establishing strength.
Yeah, there were some plays that look like field boundary, and then some plays where it looked like receiving strength. Because they're in nickel, I think they just do it to the
nickel side.
They always set the 3 tech to the tight end, and then I think they set the quarters to the passing strength.
So they're in quarters to the boundary, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this play is impressive because he's a quarter, so that means his primary responsibility is that tight end. If he runs vertical, that's the first thing he needs to do is keep inside and high leverage on the tight end. Obviously, he goes across the formation, so his eyes immediately go to number 1, which is that receiver running that race route, right?
Yeah. And it's just like route recognition here and concept recognition, the efficiency of movement. He's all over this route. And if you're the quarterback and you were trying to throw it here, there's no room for this ball.
Right. And this right here is why you run this coverage, because you get
four layers.
Yeah. You want the safety nailing down. And this looks really simple, but again, this route gets caught every week, even against too high, against the teams that aren't as good at it. And this looks simple and not that impressive because it's easy for him. He's making the difficult look easy.
Yeah, and because he's so tight to this corner is in the cover 2. Rather than worrying about this, he's able to have more confidence coming down for this route.
And you can see how it eases the Mike linebacker's responsibility. He doesn't have to completely robot that route. He gets underneath it a little bit up to the field hash, and then he can play top down on the delay flat right there on 48. So like they've got perfect layers here. And like part of why he plays this so well is because of the pre-snap indicators, right? It's an under center boot. It's under center. You're on the hash. He knows, okay, what's the most likely thing here if I read pass? It's gonna
Yeah,
be
and Griff, formationally, my 2 is off the line. So if he's likely, especially the way he's off the line, to go along the formation and then split flow. Who's my new threat, etc., etc.
right. And like the next question is, okay, is it pocket play action or boot? Well, 12 personnel, you're going to see more boots on average. You're not going to see pocket play action unless it's that drift route that we talked about earlier. But it doesn't matter because he's just reading 2 to 1. So
Yeah,
it's good
you
stuff.
see his eyes here. He sees this 2. He sees this wide action. That's boot or split zone with the cutback. And it's elephants on parade because they're all high, but they're not getting downfield. But that's a lot of processing in a short time. And ultimately, very good eye discipline and good footwork at the start.
Yep. He had that one pass break up in the underneath, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, and he fit the alley well when he hit and he ran after the ball, which is really important.